welcome Just a Family. This is giving you something to talk about, or Just Alive, as I like to call it. I'm your host, Melissa Krechler. I'm an identity coach, spiritual teacher, business mentor, creator, and founder of not only Just Alive TV, but the Women Supporting Women Can Network. Today's episode has been sponsored by Phoenix Identity. If you are ready to reconnect to who you are, what you love, and get your life back in order, set up a clarity session, link in the description. All right. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about being a woman and all the things that come with being a woman, genetically, physically, socially, energetically, and emotionally, that come with being a woman. And we were talking about that right before the show. But I'm going to hand it over to our guest speaker today to introduce themselves before we get into that. So, Belinda, would you like to introduce yourself?
Certainly. Hello. I was going to say good morning. It's morning here in Australia. I am Belinda Hindmarsh and I am the head cheerleader. So I have been put on this earth to help women and firstborn females specifically, but I help women get a better, put the you back in fun, because there's a lot of expectation. There's a lot of embarrassment, judgment that comes with the growth process that happens over time and the attachment that we form to it. But it's not just the stuff that we inherit, that we experience ourselves. We inherit a lot of rubbish that's not ours. And as I help women get higher emotional intelligence around that so that they can be free and fun in their own right. And it's a beautiful place to be.
I love that. And it's so true. As women, we don't just have the generational, the cultural, there's I guess I should, generational, cultural, physical. We were talking about it right before. I am starting to go into perimenopause. And that is something that women do end up going through. I'll be 40 this year. So it is that time that starts. So again, just genetically, physically, emotionally, socially, we go through so many different things and have so many expectations put on us that our emotions do struggle with that. I was talking to my son today. Actually, I was talking to both my sons this weekend and my husband. And one of the things that's really been going on in my brain lately is that, your emotional health and wellness is what causes your mental health and wellness to struggle, right? And that's why I created the Rockstar Method. I don't have that tag today, but that's why I created the Rockstar Method, because when we learn to control our emotional health and well-being, then that bleeds out into everything else. That bleeds out into how we interact with other people, our mentality, our spirituality, our physicality, our energetic beings. All of that kind of centers around being able to control our emotional health and wellness. So, yeah.
It certainly does. And I think the ripple effect how that plays out for everyone else because of the way you act is like the most beautiful thing and the most beautiful part of me working with women. The other day, just last week, I had a lady that I checked in with that I'd worked with previously in the week, and she said that actually there were two amazing ladies, but I'll tell you this other one first. She said to me, like, I was in a space where I was having all of these, like she'd set her own expectations for the day, and it had got to a point in the afternoon where she'd finished her work day and she works from home, so she was doing her thing at home, and her husband walks in and she's like, oh. Ordinarily that interaction would have been, oh man, you're here and oh, you're invading my space. I had this time set aside for me and I don't want to do that. Like, just I don't have time and space for you right now because I'm in my head about doing what I needed to do. But as a result of working with me, that interaction changed because she wasn't in the space where that was the case. She was able to be in that moment with him then. And he actually said to her, oh my God, like, I like it when you laugh, because they ended up giggling as a result of this interaction. And that is not something that they had done previously for a very long time. And she just like, oh my God, spine tingling awesomeness, because the way that the action had changed as a result of flicking a switch, the way I work with women. So it was just such a beautiful thing to experience. Another one the other lady that I worked with last week, she was, oh my gosh, so very beautiful. She was caught up in the belief that she was fed up with everything, and in getting her high emotional intelligence that she needed around that, she was snapping before. She was snapping at everything, and husband, and she was this close to leaving, like so close to leaving the relationship. And her kids, like she would at everything her kids were doing and saying. And as a result of working with me, she was just like, oh, I'm just in such a calm place. It's just so beautiful. I haven't snapped at the kids. I haven't, there's been no craziness between me and my husband. It's just been peace. And it's like, oh my God, this is so good. So sharing wins. Thank you for listening.
No, that's great. And you are right, that higher emotional intelligence, again, we as women are very emotional beings, right? And majority of women are empaths, right? So, and that's part of I think that's part of our gifts when it comes to being mothers, being partners, right? Being nurturers and providers. Is like, I was telling my kid the other day, when I have 4 kids, the oldest is 21 this year. And so I was talking to them, and I was like, you used to come in my room, middle of the night, come in my room. I am dead sleep. I wake up on the drop of a dime, and my hands are out like this, right? Because gross as this sounds, too much information, but he was on the verge of vomiting, and he didn't say anything. There was no precursor, but I instantly knew
that's what was happening. Yep. I gotta catch it.
and as women, we do have that emotional connection. I know if my husband's in a bad mood, I feel it. If my kids are having a hard day, I feel it. I take on their emotions, right? And that's what an empath does. The definition of an empath is to take on the energetic emotions of somebody else, right? And so when we do that, they become our own, and then that's when we start snapping, and we don't know how to differentiate between these people's emotions and my emotions, and it just causes a lot of irritation, right? But yeah, the other day, like, I've had days, even recently, where I want to snap at my husband, and I want to snap at my kids, and I want to snap at everybody else. And those are the times where I really buckle down and go, okay, I need some me time. I have processing to do, right? I have to process what's going on in my life right now and what's creating all of these negative or heavy emotions that are making me snap out and not be my calm, collected, centered self, right?
Yep. That's awesome that you can recognize that, because there's a lot of people that can't.
Well, and honestly, that's why I did the Rockstar method, and I'm not promoting this or anything, although I do have the sponsorship up, but the Rockstar method is that way to do that, right? Like, it's a methodology that allows you to say, okay, what am I feeling, right? Recognize what you're feeling. Of course, it's an acronym. Recognize what you're feeling, own it, claim your power, kneel down to it and go, whew, and then sit with it for a minute, right? And just being able to, a lot of us fight those emotions because our emotional health and wellness, we don't realize what's actually causing it, right? So if my husband walks in a room and he's in a bad mood, or he says something like your first client that you were talking about, right? When her husband came home and it was her time, she was focusing on something else. She would, previously, I'm assuming she would most likely put that on him. You're in my space, you're invading my bubble, you're, and putting all of that on them. When other people don't create our emotions, right? No. Our emotions are created by our own thoughts, our own beliefs, our own way of doing things.
100%. When
people come in and kind of trigger those, we instantly go to blame those other people, but it's not them. It's us that are doing that, right? When people kind of understand that and figure out, okay, I need to control my emotions and figure out how to process them so that I'm not flying off the handles at all times. And as women, we're not taught, nobody, men or male, female, non-binary, I don't care who you are. Society these days don't teach us how to control our emotions. I saw it in my children. My oldest has trouble controlling his emotions. We did an episode on that. It was our first very episode. If anyone wants to watch that, it's episode
awesome.
1, and it's only on Facebook and YouTube. But with that being said, as women, we're supposed to, like, society says, oh, you're emotional, or you're getting your period, you're just a woman, or whatever it is, right? Where men, and I know we're talking about being a woman, but I do have to segue on this. For men, it's like, crying is for sissies, men aren't supposed to have emotions. So all of these things, and again, they're not taught to control their emotions. If you don't know how to control your emotions, male or female, but specifically we're talking about women, you become a powder keg.
Yeah, absolutely. Waiting to explode.
Like, just no.
Yeah.
And that's what ends up going, right?
Absolutely, it certainly does. And I think there's so many reasons behind, like, there being a massive difference in the male-female dynamic. Like, it's not just the coded female, the fact that you're born with a uterus. So there's, oh my gosh, so many different things about your brain. The way we react to stress, the way we experience stress is completely different. And I think that was my biggest takeaway from learning all that I have about the male-female differences. You can be watching a movie side by side, exactly the same movie, with hooked up to a brain scanner, and the frontal lobe, where we process all of our clever information, it completely shuts down when, I'm talking completely shuts down. There's no lights on at all. Whereas in a male brain, the frontal lobe still has some lights on, perhaps not all of them, like like when you're not in a stressful situation. But we refer to we end up being in our amygdala, like the emotion center. So when women experience stress as opposed to when males do, and that's evident, like the complete flip when a male is experiencing stress and when a female is watching exactly the same movie, can be at completely different times. So for completely different reasons. It just blows my mind that, yeah, you can experience stress like that in such a big way. Like, it's just huge. Lots of.
So we're getting some comments. Welcome to our commenters today. Hey, did any of you hear about what happened to Bernard Bryan, or Barn? I can't pronounce his last name. True male feminist who was taken too soon, died very young. The brain has lights. No, metaphorically, the brain has lights. We do have electricity fueling our body, and those electrical receptors will light up on scans and stuff like that. So for sure. But yes, being a woman, you do have those physiological issues, right? Like, men have hormonal changes. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Women do have, and men do have, those hormonal things that we do experience that are different, right? So physically, we have, our periods, we have menopause, we have pregnancy, we have all of these, female changes that we go through from the time we're like 10 to 50. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm just starting perimenopause, right? So all of the hot flashes and all of that fun crap I get to deal with now. But you do there, think being women are pretty cool. Yeah, absolutely. We do have a lot of benefits too, right? But there is a lot of things. But I think for me, the most frustrating part is the social pressures or societal pressures that we face, right? You have to be a certain way. You have to talk a certain way. You have to look a certain way. You have to think a certain way. You have to act a certain way. Then you have, transgender, who, oh, you look too manly or you look too feminine. And then it just, there's so many different stereotypes and expectations that are put on different people of different genders or races or cultures or any of that we kind of sit here and go, I just want to be me. Like I just want to be Melissa. I don't want to be, as women, you start and you go, okay, I'm born Melissa, but I'm this person's daughter, right? So your identity is, I think there's some cultures, my mother-in-law is from YouTube. My mother-in-law, sorry, somebody was saying they're watching this stream. My mother-in-law is from Europe. And one of the things that she told me is that, like, my last name is Krechler, right? Or Krechler, as you would say in Europe, because my husband's family is directly from Europe, born and raised. And so the women in there would be Krechlerkova, right? So there would be like an additional add-on where I don't know if it was Iceland or it was somewhere they had gone, and it was your surname. So Peterson or Peter's daughter. That was how your last name would be. So it would be the man's first name, and then whether you're the son or the daughter, right?
Yep.
And that's how the last name became 4 different. Like, so it's interesting that I just had to throw that out as a different culture.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, culture and your environment, where you're born, where you're raised, all of these things, we kind of have these expectations on, oh yeah, okay, now where I was going with that. So yes, when we're born, we're somebody's daughter. Yep. Then we grow up and we're somebody's wife, right? Or girlfriend. Then we have kids and we're this person's mom. So I was Melissa. I was Sharon's daughter. I was Tom's wife. I was Nick's mom, Bella's mom, Haley's mom. Like, so all of my kids, right? And it's like throughout that whole time, I'm expected to be everything for my husband. I'm expected to be everything for my children. And as women, with that expectation, we don't think, oh, well, what does Melissa need today? What does Melissa need, to what do I need to be me? The divorce statistics, when children move out and they go to college or whatever they choose to do when they hit 18, you get the empty nest syndrome, and women especially get the empty nest syndrome because you've just spent 18 plus years as this person's mom. You don't know who you are anymore because you haven't put the time in for yourself, right? And
Absolutely.
I think this is one of the biggest issues for females because as a woman, people pleasing is ingrained into our being, right? Like, you have to do this and you have to do that. And then now it's like, no, I don't want to do that, right? My husband is my equal partner. When I tell people everything that my husband does, they're like, what? The only thing, and I mean only thing, that my husband doesn't do is cook. And that is because
my husband does,
right? But I'm okay with that. I love cooking is I love doing it. I will feed an army. Like, I love cooking. So I was okay with that. But he cleans, he does laundry, he takes care of the kids. He does. I never have to worry about my car because he's a mechanic. So my cars are always taken care of. But it's that whole 50-50, right? Like, it's if he's not feeling good, I'm putting 100% in. If I'm not feeling good, he's putting 100% in. And he doesn't have that expectation of me to be emotional, to be. Now, don't get me wrong, my husband has said, oh, you're on your period, aren't you? And I'm smacking, but he's, of course, we have that fun sense of humor, but it is that expectation, right? Where we don't put ourselves first. We don't say, what do I need today? And we're taught, as teenagers, if you have a teenager who's just starting out, right? And they're emotional, and it's a girl, right? And they're emotional, and they're like, oh, she's a girl. That's just normal. We let these girls turn into full-blooded adult women who are rude, crude, and out of control because they're emotional, and we're just allowed to let it.
Yes. Well, it's funny what we allow, because it wasn't until I was role modeling the behavior that I really wanted to see in my children that they actually started doing that. My eldest, she came to me one day and said, Mum, I just don't want to play anymore. And I'm like, yeah, no, I get it, because I did exactly the same thing growing up with my being the eldest kid, being the eldest daughter of two girls when I was growing up. My sister would come to me, oh, can we play? I just want to pretend. And I'm like, I don't want to pretend. I'm finished. I'm done playing. Because I was like 10, 11. And I'm like, no, I need to do this for mum and dad. I need to do this. All the expectations. Yeah. And so there was and it just got worse and worse. The older I got, the more responsibility you inherit and the more you need to do. And you take this on yourself. So I was understanding, and while I would also tell my daughter, hey, listen, Georgie, you've really got to do, like, you've really got to hang out with your friends. She was reading a book. She was a bookworm at school. She would just, she enjoyed reading, and that was great. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing reading. It's really good, but you need community. You need connection. You need family, like, your tribe. And she didn't have that because she was too busy stuck in a book.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you got to have your tribe. If you don't have your tribe, you've got no one to lean on when things get hard, because not always are you going to want to come to mum and dad. You're going to need, you need to have friends. So, and she had friends, but they weren't stuck in a book. You can't connect, and it's connections, memories that drive your tribe. You've got to be able to hang out with them. And it wasn't until I'd addressed my stuff, and my learning was massively around just being fun, put you back in fun. You've got to be in the moment. And if you're too busy worrying about the future, worrying about other people's expectations, worrying about all these other things, there's no way you can be in the moment, because your head's elsewhere. So I unlearned all of that stuff. And it wasn't until that point that she saw me then playing with her sister, and she saw me then taking time out, going to the park, playing shark at the park, and just, being a handstands, cartwheels in my togs, zero embarrassment, because I was so judging myself as well. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh, so she takes study breaks now, because you've got to have downtime in order to be able to be on. That's part of being a female as well. I mean, males need it too, but guys have a daily cycle. Ours is monthly. And there's times where we're going to be going at 100%, but there's also times that we need to be going at 5%, because that's what our body needs in order to do what it needs to do throughout the entire month. And everyone's month looks different too, because, sometimes your cycle's 26 days, sometimes it's 37.
Or you get to my point and then it's like, oh, you're 2 weeks late. Yeah, it's,
yeah. But it wasn't until I showed her the path, you can tell them till you're blue in the face that, blah, 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 do this, do this, do this. But if you're not doing it, they're like, yeah, no.
Yeah. That's like my kids. My kids know that, and we have some questions, so hold on. My kids know that, if I'm emotional or if I'm in a bad mood, first thing I do, I don't want to say or do anything that's going to hurt you. I'm extremely emotional right now. I need a timeout. And my kids know that. My oldest daughter is 13, going on 14, and she says, Mom, I'm angry right now. I'm not okay to talk. I will come to you when I've calmed down. And I said, absolutely. Awesome. And I taught her that, right? Because she doesn't get to just jump in and go. She came home one day and I saw her walking past the house off the bus, and I'm like, oh God, she's mad. And I'm on my way out for a cigarette, because yes, I know I'm a smoker, slowly transitioning to vaping. But so she comes in, I walk out to have a cigarette, I come back in, and she's like, you didn't even say hi to me when I got home. I said, no. I said, no. I said, you're mad. And I saw that you were pissy before you even walked in my house. I said, if you're pissy, totally fine. You are allowed to feel whatever it is that you're feeling. Even if you're pissy with me, you're allowed to feel that. I said, but do not put that on me, because I'm going to reciprocate, right? So let's just take a step back. When you are ready to talk to me, let me know. And it was instant calm down. And she processed, right? And then she came back and she said, I had a really hard day at school. This happened, and we ended up talking it out, right?
Awesome.
my son had a breakup recently, his first big one. And he's like, they're going to miss talking to you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, well, my ex-girlfriend and her best friend, they like, they're sad that they won't get to talk to you. I said, well, you're okay with it. I said, they can still text me, but they can't ask me about you. They can't talk to me about you. Obviously, my loyalty lies with you. I said, but I'm willing to be there if they need anybody to talk to, right? So it's making sure that our teenagers, our younger generations know that it's okay to feel whatever they're feeling and to through that. So questions. Belinda, what headset is that? That is literally the message that I got. What headset is that?
Jabra.
Very nice.
Yes.
I tend to not wear them. They end up hurting my ears, but I like yours because they kind of cover the whole ear.
It's pretty comfy.
On the listen for cats and kids. So yeah, this definitely needs more threads. So somebody was saying that we need more viewers. Absolutely. We do have Facebook. So we are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok. We are across the thing. If you put in Just a Live TV or giving you something to talk about, usually Just a Live TV, but Just a Live TV, you'll find the Facebook group, the Facebook page. Everything is, we're all over the place. So I have one follower. The reach of my post is immeasurable. Hey, one follower is totally still good. I don't know if I know Isaac Butterfield. I do know that I know an Isaac. He's been a follower of mine for a few years, but I don't think that's the same person. But all right. It is almost that time. And to you watching, we are on Monday through Friday at 1:30 Central Standard Time. I'm in Canada, so it's just about 2:00 here. Belinda, you're in Australia. What time is it there?
It is 5 a.m. now.
5 a.m. Huh.
Yes, I'm about to go for a run. Yay!
Yeah, 8 p.m. in Ireland, I'm assuming. Yeah, it is almost 2 p.m. here. I can't wait to go to Ireland. I want to take a month or two. Probably in the next 10 years, I'm going to take 2 months and I'm going to travel Europe and the UK.
Nice.
I want to take my time doing it with my husband and just enjoy it. It's the one country that I have dreamed of visiting my entire life, and I think it's a spiritual connection more than anything, is Ireland. I do have Irish roots, so that might help. But Ireland is definitely my favorite. And I can't wait to go there. Australia, I love you, but I'm never coming there.
Why is that?
I am terrified of spiders. And
we have a few.
You guys have the most crazy. I will not go to Australia. Damn house spiders, because those things. I will not go to Phoenix. I love phoenixes. I will not go to Phoenix because of their damn scorpions. Yeah, we're not. We're anywhere over there. And then I won't go to the rainforest because mosquitoes and no. But yeah, I wanna go to lots of places. Tip. Okay, here's places that I'm not supposed to go. I'm gonna write those down. So Limerick, I don't know why, but we'll just write this down, and I will, when I'm ready to go, I will do a ton of research on where I'm going. Supermax, best chicken ever in Ireland. I will definitely have to check that out. All right. Belinda, is there anything you'd like to add before we get going?
No, it's been a fun conversation. Thanks, Mel.
I love these. You know what? I wanted that back and forth conversation. People get it, like having fun, laughing. This is what this show is all about, and helping people know, that it's okay to be wherever you're at. It's okay, if you're an emotional basket case, lots of my clients are, or they start out that way. Yes. They don't end up that way. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Belinda. I really appreciate it.
And thank you so much, Melissa.
I still want that painting. Okay. That is it for today. Don't forget, What episode? We are season 2, episode 25 already.
So good.
Season 1 had 150. So if anybody's watching, if you want to catch up, we have quite a few episodes to catch up on. For all of you watching, Monday through Friday, we are live 1:30 Central Standard Time. So this time every day. If you'd like to be a guest speaker, you don't have to be an entrepreneur or a CEO. Everyday people. This is all about giving people conversations they can talk to. So make sure that you join in on the conversation, like, follow, and share. If you want to be a guest speaker, guest blogger, or if you want to sponsor an episode, please feel free to check us out at justalivetv.com. And yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon, morning, or evening, since we're all afternoon, morning, and evening right now. And lots of love. I'm Melissa, your host, and I'll see you all in the next episode.